Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about a Spyral deck profile. This was going to be a Spyral regional report, but Garden City got canceled due to the ceiling being caved in. I really do like Spyrals a lot. I've always really enjoyed the archetype, and since the ban list kind of made it not as good, it is still definitely playable. It's definitely still viable, and this might be the deck I actually take to Nationals. It probably won't be. I'll probably take Batteryman to Nationals if I get the invite to Nationals. But without further ado, let's get into the deck profile, starting with the monsters. 3 copies of Spyral Super Agent and 3 copies of Spyral Tough. This build, I've been trying to build my decks. Can go second, but it wants to go first. There's a lot of hand traps in this, and I think that if you're going to go first, just 2 copies of Spyral Tough is enough. But because Spyral Tough is such a good card going second, you really do want to see him as much as possible, and Super Agent's usually just a really good combo starter, and just overall a really good card. These are just 2 really strong cards, and the fact that they haven't gotten hit makes this deck so very viable. But for the one-ofs, because the rest of the Spyral monsters are just all at 1, or at least in this build, Spyral Gear Last Resort, Spyral Sleeper, or Sleepy Boy, Spyral Master Plan, Spyral Quick Fix, Spyral Gear Drone. To be honest, I found myself liking to drawing Spyral Gear Drone more than Quick Fix. Quick Fix is just not very good. Even, like, I don't have Link Kuriboh in this build, which you definitely should have Link Kuriboh. I just don't have the money for a Link Kuriboh, and I already traded mine away. But even so, I would still rather draw Gear Drone, because if you open Drone and Super Agent, that's an automatic double helix. Opening these 3 cards is absolutely terrible. You want to summon her and search these. You never want to draw these. Drawing these is super terrible. And the amount of one-ofs in this deck is kind of the main reason I'm just diverting away from it, because it really just isn't consistent enough anymore in my eyes. That's it for the Spyral monsters. For the support cards, only 1 support card. I'm running the Dragon Ravine engine. I decided to go against, though, the Dragon Shrines and Armageddon Knights, simply because even though Dark Worm's a really good card, I just don't think he's really worth to run it, and he's kind of a brick. Yes, you can pitch him off Double Helix, but he doesn't really do anything if you pitch him, not for Double Helix, but Quick Fix, but he doesn't really do anything when he's there, so I'm really only running Deshrudo. I'm also running a crap load of hand traps. I'm running 3 Reaper, 3 Ogre, or excuse me, 2 Ogre, and 3 Veiler, along with 1 DD Crow. That's why I called this list a budget list. The most expensive card in this list would have been Electromite. The reason I say would have been is because I was planning on buying him at the event with ABC Dragon Buster. Veiler, I feel like, is really important in this format. So you definitely have to run him. Ogre is the 2nd best hand trap, in my opinion, in the game right now behind Ash. I think it goes Ash. Actually, I think it goes Ash, Ogre, Reaper, Veiler. And that's actually it for the monsters, though. For the spells, I already talked about it. 1 Dragon Ravine, triple Terraforming. I'm running triple Terraforming. Even when Ravine was at 2, people were still running 3 Terraforming, because if you open Terraforming Ravine, you can still Terraforming for another Ravine, or you can, if you open Terraforming Ravine, you can Terraforming for another Ravine, and then Ravine pitch a Terraforming. If all that made sense. For the one-ofs, Resort, because it's at 1, Rhoda, because it's at 1, 1 for 1, because it's at 1, Reborn, because it's at 1, and Burial, because it's at 1. All these cards, in my opinion, would be at very least a 2-of if they were at 3. But probably this card, and this card would definitely be 3s if they were at 3. Reborn and Foolish, sometimes they're kind of brick, but for the most part, obviously if you draw them together, they're really good. Only 1 Spyral Gear Big Red. I really just don't like drawing this card, and it's searchable. It is a really good combo extender, but I wasn't a super big fan of it. For the rest of the cards, 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, 2 Shuffle Reborn, and 2 Mystical Space Typhoon. I was also planning on switching these out for Cosmic Cyclones at the event, but Mystical Space Typhoon is actually not terrible. I was testing at the locals, and Mystical Space Typhoon did come up very well a lot. Twin Sisters can't really be supporting this deck, so you need to be running Mystical Space Typhoon or Cosmic Cyclone. And what's good about Mystical Space Typhoon, in relation to Cosmic Cyclone, is that it doesn't cost life points. That's really the only benefit that it has. But Shuffle Reborn and Foolish Burial Goods, these are the reasons why I was running triple Terraforming, because essentially what you do is, if you open Foolish Goods and Terraforming, you can go Resort, search Quick Fix, or search Gear Drone, activate Gear Drone, maybe a Super Agent in your hand, summon Super Agent, send Reborn off Goods, banish Reborn, shuffle Resort back in, summon the Master Plan, make Decode Talker, search the Resort again. So this Shuffle Reborn essentially is like the 2nd and 3rd copy of Resort. But Foolish Goods has another target. 1 copy Spyral Mission Rescue. Wasn't a card I was a huge fan of. I'm not really that big of a fan of it. But it does extend your combos, which is something you do want to do. And 1 Spiral Gear Utility Wire. This is like the 40th card. This card would either be this or Raigeki. I think both those cards are pretty strong in this format. I did plan on running this at an event, so I did have a side deck thought out. Wiretap for Evenly Matched. I think this is just better than Scolding, because Scolding costs so many life points. Dimensional Barrier for Rogue and Pen Magicians. Chaos Hunter for Trick Stars. Kaiju Package for Boss Monster deck, like Invoked, True Draco, yada yada yada. Forbidden Graveyard for Light Swarm and Raigeki, because it's Raigeki. For the extra deck was also some spice that I decided to put in. There's some proxies in here, though, of course. 2 copies, as I find the other one, of Spiral Double Helix. I just don't think this card is necessary at 3. Decode Talker and Underclock Taker. These are usually the cards that I make. This is usually the card I make with Double Helix Master Plan, and this is usually the card I make with Ancient Fairy Dragon and another monster to go ahead and go into Double Helix off of that. And then I was running 1 copy of Ib, the World Chalice Priestess, and 1 copy of Trigate Wizard. There are circumstances where you can't get Sleeper backed with Last Resort, so running Ib is really strong in that circumstance, because Ib you can just like Sleeper target itself, target 2 opponent's cards, and instead of Sleeper dying because it targeted itself, Ib would die as a replacement. Trigate Wizard is just really strong. It doesn't usually come up I cut Soul Charge because I felt like it was bricking too much. It was either Monster Reborn or Soul Charge, and I just felt like Monster Reborn was better. So I feel like it's a lot harder to get Trigate Wizard with 3 negates. But even like if you just have Trigate Wizard, Underclock Taker up here, and then a quick fix that you summoned off of his own effect and a Sleeper next to him, then the Trigate Wizard's live. I was also running Ancient Fairy Dragon and Lyrisus Rectal Starling. These 2 should be fairly obvious because I'm running DD Crow and Dragon's Ravine. But then I was running Reaper targets. I kind of count Baguska as like a hybrid because he's a really good Reaper target, but he's also makeable in this deck for sure. Motordrome was ABC Dragon Buster proxy. Hazy Flame Ballatress was the Electromite proxy. And then I was running Dante, aside from Lord Omega, and Totally Awesome, signed by Jam1 TCG. I think if I had access to Makaba, I would possibly cut the Lyricist rank 1 and cut DD Crow and maybe run like a Soul Charge instead. But I really just don't like Soul Charge all that much. I remember I was at my locals. I spent 7,500 total life points, like just because of the Soul Charge and a Scolding and Destrudo. So it's just it does add up a lot. But overall, I'm a big fan of this deck. I felt like I was going to do pretty well at the regional. It never really ended up coming to fruition. But that's all right with me. So let me know what you guys think of this deck profile. Click that like button to show your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe for even more deck profiles and more Yu-Gi-Oh content. But most importantly of all, have fun.
God's plan. God's plan. I hold back sometimes I won't. Yeah.